recovered yet? What on earth did we do yesterday? We will talk about it. We've got to talk about it, but we've also got to get positive for Thursday's match. We said must win was yesterday. It's going to have to be Thursday's must win. Sunday's going to have to be must win. Week on Sunday's going to have to be must win. Get your views in, get your comments in. This is your Fanzone Show with me, Phil, live with Chris from Leicester Till I Die joining us shortly. Get all those views in, all those comments in, and we'll get as many of you on as we can. Yes, as ever, welcome to the show. We want your views. This is live. What do you want to say? What do you want to put on there? I'll take all your comments and put on there. The topics remain the same from yesterday. We're not going to dwell forever in this show on yesterday, but we still want to know why Nacho went off. It was tactical. We're here. What do you think on it? Can we finish top four? I'm going to try and argue the case why I think we could still finish top four, or even how top five could maybe still get us Champions League. But we want to get your views in. Like I say, I've got Chris coming in very, very shortly. Let's start with this. We need a bit of this. Danny Wallin, we are staying up. I like that. That is, I think, where we've got to do. Luke says, Jason is saying it's still a hard watch. It certainly is. Luke saying, hardly slept last night. Eventually fell asleep at 1:45. Luke, it was absolutely a shocker. Kevin is saying, well, no surprise, Man City's decision was overturned. Richard Townsend says we need more balls than ever. We certainly do need some more balls from ever. Do you think Europa League would help us as a club, or would it damage our Premier League season? Jamie, that's a great question. You know, with some of what we might have to do at the end of this season is take silver linings, which could be the fact that we make the Champions League. We make the Europa League. Faux pas. We spent all season talking Champions League, so it does feel like a defeat to end up in the Europa League. But the reality is, like Jamie's saying, is it could be a silver lining. But I hear what you're saying. Could it damage us in the Premier League next season? Have we got the squad to do it? Perhaps not to go deep into it, you would say. Darren's saying we need to put last night behind us and win the last 3 games we are in. I think that has to be doing that. Rob is saying Chelsea have got a tough schedule. I don't normally prepare much for this, but I have took the liberty of writing down all the other teams' fixtures, because obviously we play Man United. Chelsea play Wolves, Liverpool play Chelsea. I think that's what I want to go through it with Chris from Leicester Till I Die in a minute. Chappers is watching, saying that's twice since the restart. Rodgers went defensive for no reason. The FA Cup and last night. Guess the results. Again, Chappers, it's a great point. What on earth was he thinking when he did that? Ryan's saying he's still sick as a pig still. Phil saying give the youngsters a crack for 20 to 30 minutes. Need young legs now. Well, we're going to have to be some changes. But Chappers, I'm with you, Chappers. Knowing us, we will go and take 9 points now. Keep your comments coming in. Keep all your views coming in. I want to get as many of them in as possible. I'm going to add Chris from Leicester Till I Die in. Chris?
Good evening.
Have you recovered yet from yesterday?
You've got to remember, I live in Bournemouth.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I have not gone out. I've not gone out the house today. I'm wearing black for a reason. It was like my neighbour is a big Bournemouth fan. Well, her son is, and he was there, and I was like, at half time, I'm like, do you want to give it now? Do you know how many we're going to get? Well, apart from him, as I said, I managed to avoid all the other fans, but it was embarrassing. It really, really was.
Well, listen, Chris, I mean, you obviously, as everybody knows, I think you run Leicester Till I Die, obviously. We're not, as fanzines, we're not in for I'm certainly not up for whipping fans into... I saw quite a few Rodgers out bits and bobs yesterday, which I'm not having yet. But no. He did make a big boo-boo yesterday, didn't he, Chris?
They do, and I think you've always got 3 sets of fans. You've got those that are prepared to be negative, those that have always got blue-tinted spectacles on and can't see any wrong in whatever we do, and those that are in the middle. And I think in a fanzine, you're always going to get knee-jerk reactions to a defeat. And I think it wasn't just the defeat. And I've always said this, that having to go at the team isn't negative. I think it's passionate when you have a go at the team when they lose. And I think if the team give 100% and lose, we'd all hold our hands up and go, you know what, we tried, you know. But it's when something like that happens, and yes, the substitution at half time was weird. I can't work out why he did it. It was tactical. I don't know. Well, it blew up in his face.
He was defending a lead, wasn't he?
You can't defend it. I mean, Bournemouth, I don't think we've ever actually won at Bournemouth in the Premier League. And I can remember us being on the back of another I think it was 4-2 defeat a couple of years ago. It's not a lucky ground. You cannot, in this division, and I don't care whether you're playing Liverpool or playing Norwich, you could not defend a 1-0 lead. You're just asking for trouble. You really, no game is safe at 1-0. I don't care who you're playing. He made the decision, and let's face it, you know, we've seen managers, including Rodgers, and you know, whether it's Puel, O'Neill, whoever. Managers will they'll make a substitution. The guy will have 2 touches and score, and he's the best tactician in the world. He makes a decision like yesterday. It all blows up in his face, and he's the worst manager in the world. Managers stand and fall ultimately with the jobs by the decisions they make, but he can't go. And I think the thing, I was talking to a guy from Talk Sport earlier. I asked, were we overachieving for the first part of the season? You know, if you look at how well we were doing, and other teams, the Chelseas, the Man United, the Arsenals, they were all struggling. It's turned on its head. We're now struggling, and they're all doing really, really well and coming back into it. And I think we were punching above our weights. We really, really were. And I think if we got into the Champions League, and I'd love to be in the Champions League, I'd love to have those night backs again. But I don't want to go in the Champions League and get whooped 5-0, 4-0 every game. And that is a possibility.
I think, Chris, to be fair, I'd take that.
I'll take a break now.
I would take being in the Champions League. I think we might have, as you said, blue-tinted spectacles from the last time we were in it. I don't think we would perhaps have such a good run in that. But I'd just love to be in Champions League. And to be fair, I think we've spent all season. It was a dream at the start of the season that we're in those positions, but it's just we've been in them since September, and to get to 3 games from the end.
But do you think? I mean, when we got into the Champions League last year, we had a really good group. Let's be honest with you. But I think that last time we were in it, last time we were in it, I think we could have given anybody a good run, and we wouldn't have embarrassed ourselves. But I'd sooner be in the Europa League and have a good run than be in the Champions League because these are still youngish players, and if they're coming off the back of a 5-0 defeat or 6-0 or whatever, what's it going to do for their confidence? Was it a step too far too soon?
Well then, Chris, I'm putting that on the screen now. Let's get it up there. Chris says he'd rather have a good run in the Europa League than be in the Champions League. Chris, I'll tell you what. Number one is, this is a nice conversation to even be having as a Leicester fan, isn't it?
We've got to remember that. Yeah.
Bear that in mind. But I'm also, Chris, I'm like you. We're similar ages of watching Leicester as well. I get it when people come out with we're overperforming. You've got to be happy. We're in the top half of the table. We could be playing Yeovil away. I remember that a few years ago. But I've said this before to people. My expectations, Vichai and Top and the players and everybody there has moved my expectations up to this area now. They want to be top 5. I want us to be top 5. And since Christmas, Chris, what's been wrong, Chris? Because something's wrong.
First of all, we're fans. Let's be honest with you. The more we achieve, the more we want. We do forget. 3 or 4 seasons ago, after we won it, we struggled a couple of seasons since then. We've gone through different managers, And we do have to sort of stop and pinch ourselves a little bit. But I'm like any fan. I want us to do well. And October 2019, Southampton away 9-0. July 2020, Bournemouth away 4-1. It's like an exam question. Explain. We didn't strengthen. I mean, I think you look at the players we've got out coming up for these last 3 games. No Ricardo, no Maddison, no Sonshu now. Indeed, he's not performing brilliantly. None of the others are up to the form that they were doing before. I think we are struggling. You said this a couple of weeks ago. I think we are suffering because we didn't go out in January and strengthen.
We brought in Ryan Bennett, who I'm not going to slate him too much. We've barely seen much of him, but that to me, what were we at Christmas? Were we second or third then, Chris?
In the transfer one or the other, yeah.
To not go out and invest in the team in January, even if it was overinflated prices. I know people say it's a hard time to go and recruit, but that was, again, you look back in hindsight, like the summer of 2016 when we won the Premier League, we bought poorly. I think this January window is, because anybody now saying we're a bit short, we're a bit thin on the ground, January was the time to put it down and go, we're in Champions League spot, let's go for it.
It is. If you're middle to bottom half of the table but safe, you can bring the youngsters through and give all the youngsters a chance or whatever. You can't do that if you wanted to go for Champions League, or European football at all. You've got to have some experienced players in there. And as good as the players we've got are, it's some of them, it's their first, second season in the Premier League, and you're up again. And like I say, I think at the start we did do well because Chelsea was struggling at the start.
Yeah,
Man United haven't got the form that they had now, and like I say, Arsenal definitely weren't. And I think we benefited from that. But it's totally they've built on it, and we haven't.
Ben puts in here, he said in January, Manchester United went out and got Fernandes. We went out and got Bennett on loan. We didn't even buy him. That's the difference, I'm afraid. I've got to be fair. You can't say it better than that, can you?
No, I agree totally with Ben. And you can't. You can't. I've never been a fan of going out and buying for the sake of it. Do you remember under all when we had the O'Neill years, we used to think, we're not buying anybody, and we bought about 3 or 4 players just before the deadline. There is buying for buying's sake, but you cannot. If you don't buy these days, you're not standing still. You're going backwards because every other team is buying, and by the look of it, buying well.
James Fraser says here, he says, we haven't got the squad to go for a plan B, and our plan B is on loan. He's obviously talking about Slimani, which it is Slimani's. I genuinely don't want to talk about Slimani tonight, Chris, because it's just not on the table, is he? I don't think he'll ever play for Leicester again. I've said it before.
I'm not a huge fan of his, to be honest with you, but
he is a plan B.
Given a chance, at the moment. The problem is we rely too much on Jamie Vardy, and if Jamie Vardy's not performing, it takes a brave man to take that guy off. Because look at the Palace game. It would have been so easy to take him off, and then he pops up and gets 2, and that's the problem. We are relying on him too much, and you take him out of the equation, and you haven't got anybody that's coming even close to him to supplying us the goals.
Chris, have you ever seen a question I want to ask you? You've been watching since, I think, the 70s, haven't you?
Yeah.
I genuinely, and I mean this in all honesty, I've seen some real rubbish watching Leicester City. I don't think I've seen a team. Yesterday, I liken it to when the quality of football I used to play was very, very poor Sunday pub football. And there used to be a moment when in a pub football team when we went 4 or 5-0 down with 30 or 40 minutes to go, and I've seen lads physically walk off the pitch and just say, forget this. And I've seen it where players have just gone, heads have gone, and they're just like anything. It's just rubbish, and that's what I think it looked like. Yes, I've never seen Leicester like that before. Chris. Even in our worst days, I've never seen it where we just looked like we were gone. It was like a boxer on the road.
Yeah. You say we've both been there. We've both seen the Holloway teams when he put players, round pegs in square holes and did all that. But the players, I can't remember players not. I wouldn't have been surprised yesterday if you didn't see a couple of our players punching each other out.
Well, Sunday morning sort of stuff. I've seen that, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you what, I couldn't believe as well, because I absolutely love this guy to bits, and I'm not one for sort of saying, like, when players walk off the pitch and they're smiling to the opposition players that's wrong, etc. At the end of the day, the game's over. Go and shake their hands and be friends. But Casper smiling when we were waiting on the penalty decision, that kind of got to me a little bit. I'm thinking, like, what's that all about? There just seemed to be no fight. And what the hell was Sonshu doing?
I think I've got to be fair, Chris. I think that was just the red mist. I think, and you see that sometimes. Wayne Rooney's happened. Walshy used to have it sometimes. It's
sometimes.
Well, the red mist lifted with Walshy every now and then. I think.
Yeah. But I tell you what, at least it was a bit of bloody passion. I think that was the only passion I saw on that pitch yesterday. Was Sonshu in the back of our own net.
But it was stupidity as well, because
it was. Of course it was.
2-1 down, Chris. It was bad, but then to get him sent off was like.
Yeah, and there was no coming back from that. But I mean, you've got to look. I mean, the other thing that somebody said to me, and it's very, very true, is you're feeling like this after this defeat. Chelsea lost 3-0 to Sheffield United. Southampton must have felt 10 times worse when they lost 9-0 to us. And look where they are now. It would have been so easy for them to collapse, bottom of the table, sack the manager, and they didn't. They stuck at it, and I don't know what the answer is, because we can't blame COVID, because we've been like this since Christmas, and I honestly just think it was our squad size has caught up with us. We've got some main players out, and it has it's devastated the whole team, and it is the fact that we just did nothing in January. I think that is the biggest thing that has done for us this season.
It's one of those where hindsight is always a help. Like we shouldn't have took Nacho off yesterday, Chris. I'm just going to read out some fans' comments, and then what I want to ask you about is there's effectively Man U have got 4 fixtures left, including the one that's about to kick off. We and Chelsea have got 3 each. I want to just run through those with you and see where you think we're going to do. But before we do that, I'm going to read out some of the fans' comments, because thanks everybody who's liking and sharing this video. If you can do that on Facebook, like and share it, that's great. If you're watching on Twitter or Periscope, give us a retweet. Keep getting your comments in. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to get as many quick comments in here as possible. Jack's saying we can't rely on other teams, that when we're getting beaten, we have ourselves to blame. Jack, we're going to exactly discuss about other teams getting beaten in a minute with Chris. Worst I've seen since the 80s, Europa League in jeopardy now. Richard saying, Rodgers has lost the dressing room, or has he not? Cags got provoked. He's had a great season. He has, Zab. I think he was embarrassed. That's my take on it. He was embarrassed by the fact he didn't go and tackle the ball. Simon is saying Cags got his hand caught in the netting when Wilson pushed him, hence the reaction. I think Cags was embarrassed by the fact that he didn't go and block the ball. I don't know what he was doing with that. He just didn't go to the ball. LCFC Gray is saying commitment was non-existent in there. Kevin, again, I would agree with this, and it's something I want to ask you and I want to ask Chris, is for me, I don't want Ryan. If we've got a Kagler, Sonku is obviously not playing on Thursday. I want Wes Morgan back in there. I want a captain back in there, and I want him back in defence. We've got the club captain sat on the bench. I would have him in there. Now we need somebody with some balls to show us what's going on, and Wes tends to do that by example rather than with a loud mouth. But I would think we need captain material in there. If there was anybody else in the squad, which I don't think there particularly is, who is that? You, Chris, you just mentioned about Casper being captain. I think Wes has got to get back in there on Thursday. I'd have Wes over Ryan Bennett in there. We need somebody leading this team now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this on this show before. I just don't think, no matter how much your captain is good, how experienced he is, I do not go on the lines of having a captain, a goalkeeper as your captain. Like I said, I don't care how passionate he is. He can't get out in the middle of the pitch. He can't get his messages across. He can't, But I feel a bit sorry for Ryan Bennett because he's taken a load of stick and really hasn't done an awful lot wrong. He's come in and he's basically done what's been asked of him. Yeah, he hasn't been spectacular, but that said, yeah, I think now is the time. And I think I love Wes to bits. I think I've always said he's at the stage now where he isn't going to give you 90 minutes week in, week out. And I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Stick him on up front and get him ruffling a few feathers up there sometimes, a la Steve Walsh. You need somebody with his attitude now to get in there, because whatever happens, he will get them attitude right. He'll get them working. He'll get them sweating the little balls off for the team. He'll have that grit. He'll have that determination, and that is what we're lacking.
I mean, I think I haven't got anybody else in the squad I can think of, Chris. You could say, right, jam him in as a wild card or as a, he can do it. There's no big old experience, is there?
No, and there's no consistency either. And again, we've said this in the past. You leave Gray out, and then you bring him on. Last 30 minutes in the next game, and he has an absolutely fantastic game. Put him in from the start the next time, is absolutely rubbish. A bit the same with a few of the other players as well, Harvey Barnes and what have you. But good shout there from Jack. I think Johnny Evans. I would always have Johnny Evans over Casper as my captain, literally because he's an outfield player. But these 3 games, we need that little bit extra. And I think, like you say, there's nobody I can think of other than Wes Morgan that could come in and give us that. My worry is we're not going to get 3 lots of 90 minutes out of him. Although we have got a week's gap, haven't we, between the last 2 games. But like I say, he's sat on the bench. He should be. He's got to play some part in all of the last 3 games.
A few people, and I agree, Johnny Evans has been a very top quality player for us. I've got to be honest, Chris, I thought Evans absolutely fell to pieces yesterday afternoon in that last half hour, as did Fuchs for their 4th goal. And I'm trying to keep away from yesterday's game, Chris, but Fuchs is a seasoned international, a Premier League winner, and he passed the ball for their 4th goal back into our own box.
I just think I don't think there's anybody that doesn't come in for criticism from yesterday, and that's the problem. You can't say one player had an off day. 11, 12, 13 players all had off days, and that was the problem.
Had an off 30 minutes, maybe, Chris. That's as tough as it is.
Yeah.
Chris, look, let's go through some of these fixtures. Just very quickly, Chelsea. I've got Norwich tomorrow night. They're going to win that, aren't they?
Now, yeah, you say that, but what happens when a team's just been relegated?
Yeah,
no pressure at all. They've got a point to prove. It's and Leicester have been like this when we've got relegated. Once you're down, the pressure's off. You can go out. You can have a bit of fun. You can play around. Pass the ball around. I could possibly see Norwich actually getting a point there.
And then they've got. Then they play Liverpool away, and
you would hope Liverpool would. I know we're relying on other teams here. We are getting desperate, aren't we? We're relying on other teams to do us favours. You would hope that Liverpool, they are still going for the record, and I think that means a lot to them. These are Scousers we're talking about here. They want that points record. They really want that off Man City, and I think they will hopefully get. Well, I think they will get 3 points off Chelsea.
And then again, Chelsea's last game is Wolves at home. That's tricky for them.
That is very tricky. Wolves up for the Europa League again. They have. When we came back from lockdown, they were the first team to win the first 3, or the only team to win the first 3 games back. And that could be a difficult one to call. That could work in our favour as well.
But Chelsea have got it a little bit tricky. Norwich at home, Chelsea, Liverpool away, Wolves at home. That's tricky. If we then
I wouldn't be surprised, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea don't actually win any of them.
Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but we do have to look at other teams now. It's out of our hands. We do need to look at other teams. Man United, the people who did go out and spend money in January transfer window. Southampton tonight. I'm going to assume we're all praying for Southampton win, but that Man United are like a steam train at the moment a bit, aren't they?
They are, but again, Southampton they've won a couple just recently. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Southampton go. I'm sat here with everything crossed under this desk, by the way. But
so, and then United away at Palace, they should win that.
They should win that, yeah.
And then Man United have
got. I can't see anything other than United win.
Man United have got West Ham at home.
Are West Ham safe yet? Are they? Do we know if they're safe?
West Ham are on. Well, they're on 34 points, so they could still well be involved by that game.
No, they could still. Yeah, they could actually. Just looking at it, so it depends which West Ham turn up. But again, you could probably see Man United, winning that one.
And then Man United last game of the season. We'll talk about that in a minute because we all know that's Leicester City.
Yeah.
Wolves then. Wolves are still in it, and they've got they're away at Burnley tomorrow, on Wednesday. Sorry.
A tough one. It's I lived in Burnley for 25 years. It's a tight little ground. Burnley, they've had their own behind the scenes problems. If you believe what you read in the paper. But they're on a bit of a run. It's all about teams getting the wins at the right time, and that's what a lot of the other, like Man United, started bad but coming back here just at the right time. Yeah, Burnley could get something from that, I think.
And then Wolves play Palace at home, and then Chelsea away, like we've just discussed.
Again, they should probably beat Palace. Palace are just dire at the moment. I mean, even we beat them. That's how bad Palace are.
Yeah, Palace look like they just weren't bothered. They're safe. They're just on their holidays. Yeah. And then Chris, obviously,
they're on the beach there, aren't they?
Let's turn it to. We've obviously got Sheffield United this Thursday. I fancy us, Chris. I fancy us to beat them.
I don't. I've got to be honest.
Come on, Chris.
I do that. I do the prediction. No, I do the prediction league. I don't know if you've seen it with Stevie Lynix, Ian Marshall, and Steve Walsh. Steve Walsh has gone for a win. Bless him. The other three of us have all gone for a 1-1 draw. Sheffield United. Let's not forget it. Sheffield United have just put 3 past Chelsea.
Yeah, but Chris.
So.
Chris, we've got to beat Sheffield United. This is one of these.
Don't get me wrong. We've got to beat them, but will we?
I think we will.
And I just,
Chapper's put it on earlier. It'll be Leicester to go and get 9 points now. That's the Leicester I'm hoping. The roller coaster, Chris.
Exactly. Well, I borrowed your pick the other day, didn't I? That would be typical Leicester. It really would. We only got a draw with them at their place. I
thought we beat them, Chris.
I just can't see anything. We did. You're right. Sorry, we got a goal in. Yeah, we did 2-1. Sorry, I've forgotten the wins that we've got. I've got to go for a draw. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Ross is saying Sheffield United won't be easy. They have an away May record. Vardy is a Wednesday fan, so it'd be more up for him than ever. A few people here saying, we did win at their place. Vardy will relish it, a lot of people are saying. And then Spurs on Sunday, Chris. We've been to Spurs and won there before, obviously, at the old White Hart Lane, but it's not been the worst hunting ground for us.
No, and that one I actually fancy us to win. I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with Spurs yesterday. They looked a bit leggy. I thought Arsenal were unlucky. my opposition view, the guy from the Spurs fan, he thinks it'll be a 1-1 draw, so he doesn't feel confident that they'll beat us, and that's coming from a Spurs fan. So I can see us beating Spurs. It'll be tight. I mean, I think we'll concede. I just can't see us keeping a clean sheet at the moment. But yeah, I can see it. And Vardy always does better against the so-called top 6 sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to put on here Joanna is thinking exactly the same as I am. This is how I see the next 3 games. I think we're going to win against Sheffield United. I think we'll pick up a draw at Spurs, and then I think we will beat Man United. That is what I'm thinking. I'm not going for the Spurs away win. I think that 7 points is what it's going to be. I do think we're going to beat Man United, Chris, but we have to beat Sheffield United first. We have to get a draw. We have to get something at Spurs. It's bits of the jigsaw.
Well, yeah, I see it the other way around, because, like I said, I think Vardy does better against the so-called big teams. I think they play more to his to his liking. He's like scored against every single one of them, and I think Sheffield will be the tough game, and I think we will sneak a win at Spurs. And I think it will come down to Man United on the last day of the season.
Which is
I just hope it's not on BT.
True 6-pointer, and obviously with the Man City being allowed off the hook today with the financial fair play, I believe
that wasn't a surprise, was it?
Yeah, Chris, I believe it's obviously now back down to the top 4, obviously with Man City going out. Although I think I'm right in saying that if a Premier League side wins the Champions League, that 5th spot is a Champions League. I think it's probably a qualifier, but I think it is there, isn't it?
I think it, in some form or another, we do get that extra place. I'm trying to think when Liverpool won it, and then the next season, I know, because they were outside of it, weren't they? I do think I think if Man City win, I think there is an extra place. As you say, it might be a qualifying spot, but it is there. But at this point, and I know guys don't want the Europa League, but I would still take the Europa League over not qualifying, not getting anything at all.
Chris, at the start of the season, if we're honest, if we'd been told we would get to the Europa League, we would have all took it, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think, as I say, this season, and I go back to what I said before, I think it was expectations at the start of the season, and I think we just had such a fantastic start, and it. And I remember when we won the league, and every game I couldn't see us winning, because we'd had the greatest gate the year before, and we just kept winning, and we only lost 3 games all season. And I kind of expected that sort of season this year. After the start we had, and we were stuffing Newcastle by 5, Southampton by 9, and it is, once the results start going like that, your expectations start going like that. And I think we probably did get ahead of ourselves. We've got fantastic facilities. We're going to have the best training ground in the country virtually, soon. I don't think Europa League would be bad as a starting point, and then build on that, in the forthcoming years.
Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, give a shout out. Tell us where we can follow Chris and Leicester Till I Die.
Yeah, it's Leicester Til I Die, Facebook, Leicester TID on Twitter, and LeicesterTilIDie.com on the website.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris, for joining us tonight. It's been great to have you on again. We look forward to
thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me, Phil. Thanks a lot. Let's get as many of your comments in. That was great to have Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Obviously, I know a lot of you are in Chris's groups as well, just as I am. I'm always in there chatting as well. Let's get your comments in here. Ross is saying he was dreaming about a Cags header against Man United, but now it's going to have to be Big Wes in the last minute. It's one of those, isn't it? At best, 1 point from 3 games, says Simon. He's a doomer and a gloomer. Typical Leicester. Now, though, we will now go and win 3 and still miss out on Champions League, says Reese. You never know, Reese. Mick saying he would take the Europa League. I think we all would have done, Mick, wouldn't we? Mick saying the top 6 was our aim, and if we do, we can achieve that. Anthony is saying this, and I've heard a few people saying this: the greatest escape team, the improbable championship, then the great bottle. I've heard it called the greatest fail. That's what some fans are calling what's going on at the moment. Somebody on Facebook in the group is saying, how do we explain what suddenly collapsed? It's not been sudden. It's been since that Norwich 1-1. There is something, I think, off the boil at the club. And at the moment, I don't know what it is. It's something to talk about in the close season. And that will depend on where we finish, won't it? A lot of people saying play George Hurst. I see his name. I haven't seen him played or anything much about him. But a lot of fans say play him. Zab's saying what a lot of people have been saying is Top didn't give Rodgers a 5-year contract to secure Europa League. Obviously, a lot of fans look at that point when Brendan did get his new contract and it caused problems. So, listen, I think we're starting to recover from yesterday. I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm going for Sheffield United. We're going to beat them. We're going to pick a point up at Spurs, and then it's going to come down to Man United. I think Man United are going to finish in the top 4. I'm hoping we are, and I think it might be Chelsea with their 3 games against Norwich, Liverpool, and Wolves. I'm just hoping it's Chelsea who drop out and we sneak in there. We'll see, won't we? Don't forget, as ever, you can follow Chris at Leicester Till I Die. You can follow us at Leicester Fan TV on all socials. Thanks as ever to the guys who help bring all the equipment and pay for all the gear so we can do this for you for free. And that is the guys at ADT Taxes, Eat Me, Everard's Tiger Beer, Peter's Pizzas, Leicester Garage Conversions, the guys with the beautiful pies at Piglet's Pantry. The Fox's Arms is open, Jamie's very own bar. He's probably there now, pulling a pint, sweating. Hopefully not sweating into the beer, but that's what Jamie's doing rather than this tonight. Pink Car Leasing, Hologram, Digital Marketing, and our pals at Memphis UK, which is a Leicester-based charity. We're pleased to help support those. Most of all, thanks for all your comments, all your views. Without them, we wouldn't have much to say. Wednesday night is meant to be Tom with the Fox's Tale show interviewing Alan Smith, former Leicester, former Arsenal, Leicester player Alan Smith. Thursday night, it's match day again, so we're doing pre-match show, we're doing half-time show, we're doing a full-time show. Hopefully it'll be a lot more cheery than yesterday's. Well, pre-match was all right. Half-time was going good. Meltdown at full-time yesterday. Let's hope it's not that bad. Thanks, everybody who's been watching. I'll see you shortly.